It's gotta be her. You wound me, but enough with the jokes. You think he's joking? Then you're saying Yamada and I worked together? Goodness me, to think Yamada and I could work together. Not a chance in hell, you shit for brains. Who in their right mind would work with that gutless coward? Excuse me. I have to know. I'll have you know, we do have the evidence. The evidence? Yes, the two of you, and only you, did something in particular over the course of the incident. And that's the evidence that the two of you were working together. I'm pretty sure it's Witness the Madman. Like, Celeste took the picture. Yamada was there, acting like he was getting struggled by a sleep-induced Hagakure in the suit. Yamada and Celeste were the only two people who ever witnessed the madman, isn't that right? Until Kirigiri found Hagakure in the Justice Robo suit by the pool, nobody else saw him. I don't need your help. Sorry. It's just as Naegi said, Yamada and Celeste were the only two to witness the madman. Given one of the two witnesses was also a culprit, it naturally cast doubt on the other's testimony. It was all a lie? After finding Yamada injured and bringing him to the infirmary, we all set out to search for the madman. Recall what Celeste said the moment we began. I saw a shadow. There was a shadow moving atop of the stairs. And because of what she claimed she saw, we all moved to the second floor. Then, in order to lead us to the physics lab, Celeste shouted from the third floor. And what did Celeste say when we regrouped on the third floor? I saw him, the costumed madman. When I shouted, he ran off. Myself facing opposite the stairs, he turned the corner at the end of the hall to the left. And after directing us towards the physics lab, it was her partner's turn to act. What? It came from downstairs, which means that scream was Yamada. In the infirmary? Crap, let's hurry back. That was so we would split into two groups and find both of the corpses at the same time? And Celeste was the one who suggested we split up. In that case, let's split into two groups. I'm staying up here, it'll be more fun. Then Naegi, Hina, and I will head into the infirmary. Fukuwa, Togami, and Ogami, you will be responsible for capturing the madman. How's that? With Celeste and Yamada working together, every coincidence becomes a cog in the machine. And as an aside, that overblown shout of yours? That also served as a signal for Yamada, did it not? A signal saying I've arrived at the third floor just as planned. Start screaming. That's why you shouted so loudly it could be heard throughout the entire school, is it not? And then when we found Yamada, he was playing dead in the infirmary. What you said there was also suspicious. I never would have guessed that Yamada would be killed. You were the first to say he was killed, were you not, Celeste? By saying that, you made us believe that Yamada was actually dead. No way, I can't believe it. Celeste was acting the entire time? When Yamada's body disappeared, you and Celeste were together, weren't you? Yeah, I wasn't feeling very good, so Celeste helped me to the restroom. Then that was... Oh, she wasn't trying to help you. She was creating an opportunity for Yamada to escape. By themselves, they all seem like small things, but put them all together and it starts raising flags. Wouldn't you agree, Celeste? Whatever you might be, whatever would you be referring to? We'll say that's what they said. That's close enough. Feigning ignorance won't save you. You made a critical mistake. A mistake? When you first said it, I didn't give it much thought, but now I can say with certainty that that was you making a fatal mistake. And what would that be? After we heard about Yamada's corpse going missing and returned to the infirmary, you said this. It's like he's playing games. He's enjoying watching us run around confused and afraid. At this rate, we'll all be killed. We'll be killed like them. I too heard those words. But what about them did you believe to be suspicious? Remember, it was you, Fukuwa, and I who discovered Ishimaru's corpse in the physics prep room. After that, we heard from Naegi and Yamada. We heard from Naegi that Yamada had been murdered, and you, Naegi, and I left the prep room. We ran into Celeste when we stepped out of the infirmary. out into the hallway, and the four of us headed to the infirmary. Not a one of us said a word about Ishimaru's death before we arrived to the infirmary. When you think about it like that, Celeste's comment seems extremely out of the ordinary. Excessively so. All this about her comment being out of the ordinary, I'm not really sure what you're getting at. Hey, Celeste, everyone's confused. Repeat what you said, word for everyone's sake. If you're not the culprit, then you have no problem, is there? I didn't really see it there. I think it's the third thing she says. That's right. There's no way you should have been able to say, we'll all be killed like them, Celeste, because at that point, we hadn't yet told you about what happened to Ishimaru. Plus, we met up with you in the hallway after we left the physics lab, so you didn't even have an opportunity to see the body for yourself in the prep. And yet, despite all that, why did you know that it wasn't just him who had been killed, but them? You all have quite the active imaginations, don't you? Imaginations, you say? Did you not just say, every time I claimed to have witnessed the madman, I was lying? In that case, what does that make this photograph? How do you intend to explain the photograph I took of the madman carrying Yamada away? It's a fake? Like Celeste put on the costume, then used the camera's timer to take a shot? Have you forgotten? Only you were able to wear the costume, Hagakure. Furthermore, the digital camera does not have a timer. Therefore, it is the unequivocal truth that the madman abducted Yamada. If you wish to discredit my testimony, then please explain this picture to me. First of all, is that actually a photograph of the madman abducting Yamada? What do you mean by that? I'm saying it's possible that the madman didn't abduct Yamada, but that something else entirely happened. No such possibility exists. That something else happened? It's like I said before, he's just propped up and Yamada's faking it. That's not a picture of Yamada being abducted by the madman, but of Yamada abducting the madman. You can't deny the possibility. The one being abducted in that picture is not Yamada, but the madman, and we just wrongly assumed Yamada was the one being abducted. That peculiar costume was probably used for the express purpose of inviting that misinterpretation. Anyone would assume, seeing someone dressed like that, they were the suspicious party, and that's how you made me into a suspect while I was zonked out. That's Preposterous. Yamada abducted the madman? That's not possible. Is it really not possible? That's not what I think. In that case, allow me to give you proof that it could not be possible. Does there really exist proof that it's not possible for Yamada to have abducted the madman? The back doesn't bend at all. He could hold himself up because the back doesn't bend, so he would always be upright no matter what. No, even if the person inside were unconscious, they could still be standing upright, thanks to a special characteristic of the Justice Robo suit. The back doesn't bend at all. That's a pretty big design flaw. Oh yeah, the costume's design flaw. The back doesn't bend. But I wonder, was it actually a design flaw in the first place? Perhaps it was intentionally made that way for the sake of being able to take the photograph. By dressing an unconscious Hagakure in a suit with a rigid back, Celeste and Yamada were able to fabricate that photo. So we'd believe there really was a madman. And that would be checkmate. Checkmate? You fucking kidding me, you creants? Huh? This is not checkmate. Celeste. It seems you guys are dead set on setting me up as the culprit, but that's a big mistake. Are your memories shot? Have you forgotten about Yamada's dying words? Hey Yamada, who did this to you? Who attacked you? Who's the culprit? Culprit? I know the culprit's name. I remember Master Yasuhiro. When asked the culprit's name, Yamada gave a clear answer, did he not? He said that the culprit's name was Yasuhiro. That's to say, Yasuhiro Hagakure. My name isn't Yasuhiro, it's actually Teroshuke. You needlessly complicate things by telling such inexplicable lies. But is the Yashiro Yamada mentioned actually referring to Hagakure? What are you saying, bitch? Die in a fire. What do you mean by that? Remember the way Yamada spoke of each of us? He referred to us, how did he say our names? He said like master, didn't he? Master full names? Refer to everyone using their full names. For example, he called you Master Makoto Naegi. Therefore, had Yamada been trying to say Hagakure, he would have said Master Yasuhiro Hagakure, but instead he said Master Ak Yasuhiro. It was happenstance. He was trying to say Hagakure and mixed up the order, that's all. Like a bad waiter? Silence. For him to have slipped up on it just that one time is quite the convenient interpretation for you. It was no coincidence, as he always did. Yamada was trying to refer to the culprit by the full name, in order. But in his last dying breaths, you were only able to make out the first few sounds of the first name. Then Yamada was trying to name someone whose last name is Yasuhiro, but there is no one here with that last name. No, hold on, there is one person it could be. Celeste, you never once told us your real name. Pardon me? It's funny how far you think you can take these baseless accusations. Would you kindly stop spouting this nonsense? There's not a chance in hell I have a lame-ass last name, like Yasuhiro. Off with your head. Then tell us, Celeste, what is your real name? Fine. Clean out your damn ears and listen real carefully. My real name is Celestia Lundenberg. And as I kindly request you stop making me repeat myself, Celeste seems pretty hell-bent on maintaining her ruse, which means I gotta make her give it up. I'm sure her Electro ID would have it. You just check that. Yeah, first one. There it is right there. Evidence refuted. That's right, our Electro IDs. Huh? As I recall, when an Electro ID boots up, it displays the owner's name, right? That's what Monokuma told us when he handed them out. Don't go losing your Electro IDs or anything. It's an indispensable part of life here at the Academy. When you turn it on, it'll display your real name, so make sure you've got the right one. After all, these babies can be used for more than just your identity. In other words, by checking her Electro ID, we can answer the question of what Celeste's real name is. That's an invasion of my privacy. I will not allow it. Isn't it about time you started telling the truth, the whole truth? I'm not the type to fold, even going up against a royal flesh, because... Until all the cards have been laid out on the table, there's no saying what might happen. In that case, I'll lay everything out for you. Let's return to the beginning one last time, and there I'll reveal every last one of your crimes and put an end to this charade. Alrighty. I don't know for certain that goes there yet. Library. That would be number 2. that is what I meant to put there. Some of the slides look kind of weird, but I think this makes sense. As the first step in preparing for this crime, the culprit joined forces with a certain person. Yamada. By making Yamada into their accomplice, the culprit was able to execute a series of crimes. Ah, I messed it up. Maybe it's backwards. Yeah. The first thing they did was invite a certain person to the rec room last night at 1 a.m. And that person was Hagakure. The culprits called Hagakure there so they could frame their crimes on him. First, they drugged him. Then they dressed the unconscious Hagakure in the Justice Robo costume. Yamada pretended to be held captive by Justice Robo, and the culprit photographed him, all for the sake of fabricating evidence of a madman and casting suspicion onto Hagakure. After that, the culprit shut Hagakure still out cold in the locker by the pool. At long last, 6 a.m. rolled around, and the culprits moved into the murder phase of their plan. They summoned Ishimura to the physics prep room. And there, Yamada committed the first murder by killing Ishimaru. The weapon he used was Justice Hammer 4, the hammer we found in the physics prep room. The use of Hammer 4 was for the first murder was the red herring intended to confuse the order of the events. The next thing the culprit and Yamada did was fake having been attacked. In doing so, they set themselves up as victims and directed suspicion at Justice Robo. The first attack was in the rec room. By showing us Justice Hammer number 1 in the Justice Robo photograph, the culprit convinced us the attack was real. And then there was the second fake, the attack in the library. Was constructed with Yamada's injury and Justice Hammer number 2. In manufacturing and showing us these two incidents, the culprits planted the certain notion in our heads that the mysterious madman was attacking people using progressively larger hammers. And carrying that misconception, we all set out to find the madman as quickly as possible. When we did, we left Yamada in the infirmary all by himself. That was exactly what Yamada wanted, left unattended in the infirmary. He made use of the transfusion bags in the fridge and, Justice Hammer number 3, to fake his own death to make it appear as though he had been murdered. Hearing Yamada scream, we returned to the infirmary and found him there on the stage of his murder. On top of that, at the very same time, Ishimaru's corpse was discovered in the physics prep room, and because of the corpse discovery announcement that triggered, we mistakenly assumed Yamada to be dead. Having successfully deceived us, Yamada waited for the moment everyone was out of the infirmary and slipped away. After learning of Yamada's disappearance, we hurriedly regrouped in the infirmary, and making use of that hole in our defenses, Yamada snuck into the physics prep room. Wrapped Ishimaru's corpse in a vinyl sheet and transported it to the art storage room on the trolley. And that's the truth behind the case of the disappearing corpses. But Yamada didn't know the extent of the true culprit's plan, that he'd been manipulated. The true endgame to the true culprit's plan was the murder of their accomplice, Yamada, using one of the hammers in the art storage room. That covers everything from this case, and the one who created and executed the plan was... Celeste. I lose? How long has it been since I last heard those words? Those powerful words. So you admit it, that you're the culprit. My goodness. You could at least do me the favor of using my real name. Celestial Ludenberg, or rather, you can call me Teiko Yasuhiro. You've finally given up your facade, huh? I'm not such a sore loser as to go down kicking and screaming when defeat catches up to me. I see. Monokuma, would you kindly begin? No. Would you kindly end this? You talking about the event you've all been waiting for? Ballot time? Sure, why not? Let's get rolling. Okay, you guys, please cast your ballot using the switch in front of you. So, what will your verdict be? Who's tonight's villain? Will it be right, or will it be oh so wrong? What could happen? One of these days I will learn how to speak English. I think Celeste was kind of suspicious from the beginning, because she was so involved in this case. I don't know. She just seemed kind of suspicious from the beginning. This probably goes without saying, but you guys hit the jackpot. This round's villain, the one who pulled all the strings, is Celestia Lundenberg, aka Takeo Yasuhiro. One day I'll learn. I have no choice but to fold. How terribly unfortunate. It seems, from the beginning, I was mistaken in colluding with anyone. I severely underestimated just how burn-brain Yamada could be. So it was you who proposed the partnership to Yamada? But how did you convince him to get on board? I can't imagine he would agree to commit murder so easily. She's a professional liar. It couldn't have been that difficult. Goodness me, a professional liar? It was hardly anything extraordinary, I assure you. Then you used that? Nothing gets past you, Kirigiri. Yes, it's just as you imagined. To bring Yamada under my control, I made use of that. For the sake of those whose lives are spared, I must regrettably speak in riddles, but I am referring to the object to which both Yamada and Ishimaru had grown quite fond of. You mean alter ego, right? What's this? What you guys talking about? We're in the middle of important business, don't interfere. Me always black sheep, me sad. Then when you were the one who stole it, weren't you? Yes, that is correct. And using it, you roped Yamada into cooperating with you. Again,